Hi, today we're looking at the bioethics case study, time and place. If you have the handouts from class, it is the one marked number 5. I'm going to read through the case study with you and tell you briefly what you need to do. So, time and place. You have recently completed years of medical training, undergraduate work, medical school, internship, and residency, and are excited to have gotten a job with Rezip, one of the largest pharmaceutical companies in the world, based in the United States but operating in 150 countries. Rezip discovers, develops, manufactures, and delivers prescription medicine to patients. Many Rezip drugs make life easier and healthier for millions on a daily basis. You've been interested in global health since middle school and chose to focus on infectious disease during your medical training. It seems unbelievable to you that each year hundreds of thousands of people die from bacterial diseases like meningitis, cholera, and pneumonia, especially in developing countries. Your passion for global health and your new job at Rezip seemed like the perfect match. Rezip has developed what it hopes will be a blockbuster antibiotic, an antibiotic that would fight a wide range of bacteria and could be taken in tablet form. The drug, called Trovan, is in the late stages of development and so far has been successfully tested in over 5,000 adult patients in the United States, Europe, and elsewhere. The results are very promising, and Rezip anticipates that the drug will receive approval for adult use. However, additional clinical trials with younger patients are needed to prove its effectiveness and safety for children. Otherwise, the drug will not receive approval for pediatric use. Rezip is sending you to Africa for 2 weeks to dispense Trovan to children as part of this needed clinical trial. If Trovan proves successful overall, millions of adults and children suffering from a variety of deadly bacterial disease could be cured easily by taking a few pills. Rezip also projects its total sales could reach over $1 billion a year as a result. Drug clinical trials are heavily regulated by the FDA, Food and Drug Administration. In phase 1 trials, the drug dosage must be proven to be safe in 20 to 80 healthy volunteers. Phase 2 trial then prove effectiveness of the drug in 100 to 300 patient volunteers sick with the disease the drug will treat. Finally, phase 3 trial provide widespread safety and effectiveness of the drug in 1,000 to 3,000 patient volunteers. Clinical trials must be conducted in targeted populations. In other words, if the drug will be used on women, it must be tested on women. If the drug will be used on children, it must be tested on children. Certain drugs have been known to affect different populations differently, and therefore the FDA demands rigorous clinical trials on all target populations. In the United States, the full clinical trial cycle can take 2 to 10 years, depending on how many people sign up to be in the trial, the way the trials are conducted, and whether the results are decisive. Your boss tells you you're going to Nigeria, which is experiencing the most serious meningitis outbreak ever recorded. Hundreds are dying each month. In the first weeks of the epidemic, only about 80% of those with the disease have survived. Understandably, this presents a severe public health crisis for the government of Nigeria. When you arrive at the Nigerian slum city of Kano, you're overwhelmed by the needs of the people, many of whom are children, and the huge crowds gathered at the Kano Infectious Disease Hospital. Nearby, an aid group called Doctors Without Borders has set up a medical station and is dispensing treatments to ease the epidemic. Despite their efforts, the lines at the medical station are overwhelmed with people needing treatment. You and your team have been instructed to set up camp close to the Doctors Without Borders station to aid in relief efforts and collect data for the clinical research study. As a Rezip doctor, you will choose 200 children with serious symptoms. Half will be given the dose of the experimental drug Trovan, while the others will be treated with an antibiotic from a rival company for comparison. The rival drug has already gone through the standard clinical trials and is shown to be effective and safe. The children and their family will not know which of the two drugs they are receiving. If Trovan has a negative effect on the children, the other drug can be administered. Given the chaos of the crowd gathered, it is decided that getting consent from the individual families will be impractical. So it is agreed that permission will be from the ANOS Ethics Committee will serve as consent for everyone. REZIP sought and received permission and consent for the study from the KANOS Ethics Committee, made up of local doctors, health officials, and tribal elders. Culturally, tribal elders often represent their communities. You look at the malnourished and severely ill children from the slum city raging with meningitis, cholera, and measles. There are children with you will dispense medicine to and gather data from for the clinical trial. You have concerns about how the trial will be conducted, but you also recognize the potential health benefits of the drug. Should REZIP conduct this clinical trial research? So this one is a fictitious story. This one is not a real story. Parts of it are true about how they have to go through clinical trials and that. But this actual drug and that is not real, not a real situation. But the ethics behind it still is. And it does give you the ethical question there. What you're going to focus on today is you're going to focus on making a strong justification. So again, you will be using your graphic organizer to state your ethical question. What are the facts? What questions do you have? Do you need more information? Who the stakeholders are, what their values and political or bioethical principles are, some possible solutions to do this, and then you are going to write a strong justification. So you are going to write a paragraph that states what your position is. It needs to answer and address all of these things listed in question number 6. This pulls together everything that we have been doing on the bioethics. You're doing the same thing, except now I'm simply asking you for a justification. Again, here are some things to help you. It's a little bit of a rubric to help you to know what are things in a strong justification. And again, the stuff to remind you of your values and your principles.